Today, an interview in action from the ViVE event down here in Miami. My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16 hospital system and creator of This Week Health, a set of channels dedicated to keeping health IT staff current and engaged. We want to thank our show sponsors who are investing in developing the next generation of health leaders: Gordian Dynamics, Quill Health, Tausight, Nuance, Canon Medical, and Current Health. Check them out at thisweekhealth.com/today. And now, on to our interview. All right, here we are. We're at ViVE 2022, new conference, and we're at the Chime Breakfast. We're here with Zafar Chaudry. Do I say that right?
Zafar.
Zafar Chaudry, the CIO for Seattle Children's. Welcome.
Thank you, Bill.
I appreciate it. Hey, we had a great conversation last night. I wanted to follow up on that. We were talking about, what are some of the things that are top of mind right now for CIOs and what's going on. And you shared a little bit about mental health. Give us some more information on that.
Yeah, so it's interesting when we debate how the pandemic has impacted us in healthcare IT support services. And yes, the usual things, recruitment, retention come up, right? And cost of running services, burnout. But related to the burnout is also the mental health of the support services individuals, such as the guys in health IT. And it's quite concerning to me that whilst we support our clinicians through this journey, that our IT folks are also facing life, right? Whether it's COVID affecting their families or their kids having to be homeschooled, they have also faced the challenges of the pandemic, and it has had an impact on their mental health.
Yeah, it's that came front and center for me. We had actually 2 suicides while I was a CIO within the IT team, and both of them were related to really home situations that, the people around them weren't really aware of. But now people are flung to the far reach. You guys are still remote, I assume.
Yep.
And so how do you tap into that? How do you understand where they're at and reach them where they're at?
Well, I think the way in which we as leaders interact with those remote groups has to change and has changed. You sort of learn during the pandemic that checking in with people is now very different than them stopping by your cubicle when they're on site. Now you have to take protected time, meet with your direct reports and skip level down and just ask them how they're feeling. So we've been having sort of bounce back check-ins in our organization where we go to the front line within technology and we sit down with them and say, ask that question. How are you feeling? What's happening to you? And it's quite interesting to hear that people will honestly say that they're not feeling good. And we've expanded our employee assistance programs at Children's. We've added in a remote telehealth service that focuses on giving people extra mental health support to sort of add to helping out in this scenario.
Do you think this will lead to bringing people, or have you guys started to bring people back in a little bit? It's isolation. We know in a mental health world that isolation is one of the biggest things that leads to depression and other things. And we're almost isolated. We're working behind this screen every day, and we think, oh, people are home with their families. Well, some people don't have families. They're literally at home in front of their screen and would potentially prefer to be in a group of people.
Yeah, and we all need, it doesn't really matter how introverted you are, we all need human interaction.
Right.
So absolutely, people need to have that interaction. The other thing we're sort of seeing is if you're working from home, people are not stepping away from the machine. That laptop is sitting on your sofa, and the minute you think of something, you're reaching for it, and it could be any hour of the day. And what we're also trying to help our employees understand is there has to be a time where you step away from the machine.
That's really interesting. So I've worked from home probably a decade out of my career, and maybe have you worked from home?
I have, yeah.
It takes a certain amount of discipline to say, okay, I'm going to walk away now, because there's always work to do, and you feel like, okay, maybe I'll get. The lie we all believe is maybe I'll get ahead. If I work this extra 4 hours tonight, I'll get ahead. And you never get ahead.
Absolutely, you have to have a cadence. It's no different than if you were coming into the office and you would dress to come into the office. When we first started in this pandemic and people moved remotely, did we all really dress to go to a Zoom meeting? And over time, you've learned that actually, if you do somewhat dress as if you're going to work, then that triggers in your mind that attitude of, well, now I have to undress and be at home,
Right.
versus sitting in your pajamas and doing this work. And I think that's evolved over the last few years, where people have done that.
Yeah, people are learning that. I love the cadence aspect. I'm curious. So my cadence is I do get up. I get up and exercise, take a shower, and put on a button-down shirt. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still in my house or whatever. But there is sort of a trigger to that. Also, in my office, there's I used to. I don't right now, but I used to have a sign that said "Leaving the office" on this side when I walked out, and it sort of reminded me, hey, check out from here. The family's on the other side. And I try only to do work in my office. I mean, what kind of rhythms do you find work?
Yeah, I do a similar because I guess I'm fortunate enough to have that office. What I have seen with many of my employees is they don't have that. They've been working from the dining room desk, or actually I've seen some people in a closet, in their master bedroom closet, doing this work because they just don't have the space. You know, depending on where you live in the nation, you might not have a very big apartment or home. So that has also had an impact on people.
Well, we've seen Google announce people are coming back. Apple announced that people are coming back. Not that we follow big tech and everything, but big tech does signal things to the world. Twitter, though, said work from anywhere as long for the foreseeable future. How do you see this thing playing out?
I think it's going to be based on organization. We've decided in our IT group that 80% of our individuals will remain remote, and only the desktop, clinical engineering, biomed, who have already been on site during the pandemic, will come to site. And my personal approach to this is, I've always felt you should do the work where you feel comfortable. So we have converted our offices to hoteling space, similar to what a tech environment would look like. And if you want to come and collaborate, you can. And if you don't feel comfortable, then that's fine. And what we've also seen is many people have, during the pandemic, sold their smaller properties, moved further out to have that space, to have that home office, reduce some of their costs, so their commute time would have gone up. So they may not want to come in every day. I would say once a week could be a reasonable cadence.
Well, and you anticipated my next question, which was, I'm talking to CIOs that are like, man, these people moved to the far reaches, and to say to them, hey, come back. Some of them are coming back from a different state.
Absolutely.
It's a little different way of thinking about it. Let's talk about the space. It's interesting, you know, if you go to a Silicon Valley office, and I don't know if you made this transition, but you know, you go in and there's a coffee bar and there's hoteling spaces, there's places like this to sit down and that kind of stuff. Did you rethink your whole space?
We did that prior to the pandemic coming.
Okay.
So all of our offices for technology are in downtown Seattle. The entire space was refurbished to mirror the competition, because my competition's across the street.
Right, your competition is big tech.
Yeah, and so if I was going to retain people, I had to provide that environment. So we'd already fitted that out, but the difference was it wasn't hoteling space, you were assigned a cubicle. During the pandemic, we've learned that that space has now become bookable hoteling space, and you don't actually get a cubicle moving forwards, including myself. So I've moved from a physical office on our main hospital campus to our IT campus, and I also have a cubicle.
Yeah, you know, when I went to the Box offices, Box.com, Aaron Levy was at the end of a row of people just sitting there.
Yes, that's where I'm at too, yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, so the big office is sort of gone. I mean, not that you had a big office, but generally the CIO has a pretty nice office.
Well, you sort of strive sometimes to have that corner office, but no, you don't have that anymore. I have a nice view, but I'm at the end of a row of cubicles. Now, the challenge is when I'm in the office, I do still have to go into a conference room.
Yeah, you have a lot of meetings.
To take those private video calls, but otherwise, yeah.
Are you going in almost every day?
I go in about twice a week.
Twice a week, okay. What about the executive team? Are you guys meeting via Zoom or Teams? Or
we've been meeting remotely. There was a gap where we were allowed to come to site, and we meet every Tuesday, so we were trying that out. Our executive meetings are anywhere from 6 to 8 hours on a Tuesday. So sitting in a mask isn't always the most amazing of experiences when people are trying to articulate, sometimes mumble.
Right. Zafar, I want to thank you. You know, the next time we get together, we'll have to talk about some of the cool technology stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks,
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Bill.